unfortunately, with technology. But I'm absolutely thrilled to have the pleasure of Zoe here from Honest Riders. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And Zoe's also indoors for this as well, but we will release her in a bit so she can go outside and enjoy the sunshine as well.
I've had quite a lot of sun today, actually. I've been out riding, I've been walking the dogs. I feel like I'm ready for the inside time now.
Oh, that's okay. I have done the same thing. I have done exactly the same. I walked the dog, went and rode the horse, and have now come back ready for a little bit of inside time. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So Zoe and I met, years ago now at Windsor, because one of our friends, Katie Lawrence, who runs Riviera PR, we met at Windsor, didn't we? And you know Katie, and she said, "Oh, this is Zoe," and I said, "Oh my God, I love your stuff. This is amazing." And we just got to know each other through Katie, mostly, really, haven't we? And then through running businesses, and the mutual kind of side of that. So we're going to chat today, Zoe, about lots of different things, aren't we? About your company, about your ethos, about your values, about your horses, about what's important to you, and also, about running a business as a single entrepreneur. And when I say single entrepreneur, I don't mean you're single. I mean as a person on your own in a business. So
with its many ups and downs.
Indeed, exactly. And it's not all the rose tinted people think it is, but actually it's got so many good sides to it, like today, indeed, where you could go and do what you wanted to do. So tell us a little bit about yourself then, Zoe, a bit about you, a bit about Honest Riders, a bit about what brings you to where you are today.
Okay, so I've got a career background in marketing. I worked for ad agencies for about, this is going to age me now, 12 to 15 years, working on big brands and their big campaigns on a strategy side. But I've always been a country girl at heart, so I really struggled with the working in London thing. I never really got into it. But, my career was ticking along. I rode during that time, so I was lucky enough that I was able to keep my horses on my parents' farm, so I would commute into London every day and then rush back, try and ride, and I was getting quite competitive. Well, I've always been competitive and always ridden. I really, really got into dressage when I left university and started my career, and just realised that actually I wasn't able to do my career to its best and the riding side to its best, and I was just miserable. So I made the decision back in 2017 to set out on my own path and leave my corporate job. I moved to the South Coast with my now husband, and set up Honest Riders, and this is where I am today. So I now do Honest Riders full time. It's just generally just me. I have some help on the sort of logistical side, so with the order packing and other bits and pieces, but it's mostly just me. And yeah, I'm living my best life, I think. It sounds really cheesy, doesn't it? But yeah, no, I'm in a really good place at the minute. I've now got sort of flexibility to be able to ride my horse to a good standard. I've got my dogs at home, I can work from home, and I'm running a business that I'm really passionate about. So yes, that's me.
So tell us more then about what it is that means you're so passionate and you set up Honest Riders. And I know there's a lot of stuff about what's important to you in there as well. It's not just a clothing brand, is it? There's so much more to it. So tell us about Honest Riders and what it means to you.
Yeah, so it came about over a period of years, actually. So I don't know, in life, as you sort of reach your 30s and you start to realise what's important to you, there were several things that were standing out to me that I realised I really cared about. Number one was a really fickle thing, which was fashion. I've always been really interested in fashion and design. I actually wanted to do design as a career, but I was never good enough to actually do the drawing side of things. So I recognised that there was a bit of a gap in the market in the equestrian world, because a lot of the equestrian clothing that I was buying to ride in, I didn't really love, and I felt was a bit fuddy and a bit old-fashioned, and didn't really represent my style. So there was that kind of thing going on while I was working in advertising, and I used to sort of design just for fun. And then there was another side of life that kind of started emerging probably about 7 or 8 years ago now, which was I worked for a cosmetics company when I first graduated. And I won't say who they were, but I was very shocked to find out that there was animal testing going on. I did a couple of years with them, moved on. As a company, they were getting to the point where they were trying to work out other ways of doing things, and that was great. And then a few years later, I was using lipstick or something, and something popped up, a blogger that I was following, and that told me that this particular cosmetics company was testing on animals. I was like, oh my God, this can't be true. You know, we were in 2015 or whatever it was. How are people still doing this? It's just cruel, it's awful. And it really struck me. And then at the same time, I was spending a lot of I love David Attenborough, like I just love him. And I just got really affected by some of the stuff that he was saying around, you know, plastic pollution, and the fact that some of the animals that I'd seen the year before, I'd gone on safari, and that, you know, there were conservationists there telling me that the rhinos weren't going to be there potentially the next time I went back. And it was all these kind of things that were just coming up, and I was just finding myself being really affected by it, and just, you know, just felt really powerless, and I wanted to do something. So there was those two kind of sides of things. And then I thought, well, actually, the equestrian world isn't very sustainable. There's a lot more that we can do as riders to make better decisions. And that's where I came up with the idea of Honest Riders, because I wanted to start to bring some of the environmental issues that we're now facing to the forefront. I wanted to have it as an open discussion amongst equestrians, and I'm trying to use Honest Riders to do that, alongside the kind of the fashion side of things. So that it was kind of a culmination of the different things.
As it always is, isn't it? And isn't it wonderful when you find your passion and you combine it with what people want, and you can make a business out of it? Like, that's the perfect triangle, isn't it? That's what they say, is the perfect mix is what you are passionate about, what others want, and a way of making a living out of it, because we need to pay for our ponies, so we do have to do that side of it as well. Yeah. So tell us some more then about how you are bringing this real sustainability element into riding, and there's probably quite a lot of people that have got no idea in what areas we could help, in what areas aren't ideal, and things within the equine industry at the moment, and how people can do something about that right now.
Yeah, so I guess from a business perspective, I made the decision very early on that every single decision that we made as a business was going to be with sustainability in mind. So we think about everything from our suppliers, the ingredients that they're using, the manufacturing processes that they're using, because, you know, quite a lot of manufacturers overseas are doing a lot of damage to the environment through what they end up washing into the waterways. You know, the fabrics that we used, I wanted to make sure that the way that they were sourced and they were produced was sustainable. Right through to the end game where we deliver something to a customer, and I really thought carefully about the packaging that we were using, and making sure that that was either completely recyclable or biodegradable or both. So I've tried to think about everything every step of the way. So we've got two angles of the business. We've got the fashion side, and where possible we use organic cotton, and we use a bit of recycled plastic bottle polyester as well. But we also try and kind of push across the message that if you're buying something from us, then you should really love it, and you should think about being able to wear it at least 30 times to make that a good decision, a good purchase decision. And then the other side of the business that I decided quite late on actually to do this is horse care. So I was frustrated by the fact that I couldn't trust what I was buying in my tack shops, that it was going to be cruelty free, and also the ingredients weren't going to be harming myself or the horse that I was putting it on. So I did a lot of research and found products that I thought worked for me and my horses, but also ticked all of my sustainability boxes as well, and started selling those. So I'm trying to bring that together. And then a lot of the content that we produce is focused on sustainability and kind of trying to simplify it for equestrians and make it a lot more approachable. So, you know, tips on recycling and what they can do to make better decisions, basically.
So obviously we can be looking at then the products that we buy and things. And if we were to do that, if we were to think, oh, do you know, actually, because a lot of the time, some of it's willful ignorance. Some of it is like, I can't do anything about it, so I'm going to ignore it. But some of it is like genuine, like, oh, I didn't realize that. I never even thought of that. Like, until someone tells them, like yourself, you know, going out there and just raising awareness of it, but in like a nice way, not in like a scary animal rights kind of way or an environmental kind of way, but in an approachable way. And you still ride your horse, right? So you get it. You still ride, you compete. We'll get onto that later as well. What kind of things can people be starting to think about then if they go, oh gosh, I had no idea that perhaps some things I'm doing or buying or having that I could change. How do I do that then? What kind of stuff do I need to be looking out for and thinking about, considering?
I think just to start by saying what you've just described there is so familiar, is so common, because it is such a big topic, and it's complicated. It's not as straightforward as saying this is eco-friendly, this isn't. There are so many elements to every single product that you buy that either are or aren't particularly sustainable. But I wrote a blog post on it recently, and what I try and do is look at the products that I buy on a regular basis as a starting point. And I've got a list of areas that I do a little bit of research on, background research, just to make sure that they tick my boxes. And I think with sustainability, it's about where you draw your line, and everyone's line is going to be different. So, cruelty-free, being cruelty-free is my line. It has to be. For other people, they're not so bothered. It might be more about the ingredients, or more about the fact that the packaging can be recycled. But I've got a checklist over on the website actually, and there's 5 things that I look at, and it's all about sourcing, the packaging, the ingredients, the quality, and all of these things that you can think about before you make your decision as to whether it's sustainable or not. So I'm trying to demystify that a bit with our content and make it a bit more approachable, really.
And so on that topic then, when you say you've got to know where you draw the line, we've done some stuff together, and one of the things that we particularly looked at into something I talk about all the time called values, which is what is it that is really important to you as a human? What ones are absolutely non-negotiable, and what ones have got a bit of flexi room? Because not only do we have these things called values, but we have a hierarchy of them as well. And I know we were talking earlier, and you said actually understanding those so much better has helped me so much, because it's helped me really drive my business to align with them for a start. It also, without you even realizing it, you were doing it when you came out of the corporate stuff. You knew there was something didn't feel right, it didn't seem right, so they wouldn't have been aligned with your values. So you've now aligned your business with it. But also it helped you make some other decisions and things as well, didn't it? So tell us a little bit about how knowing your values and knowing, I love that actual phrase, where to draw the line, what is and what isn't acceptable for you will be based on those. How much of a difference did that make for you?
Oh, it's been an absolute game changer. So Jenny and I actually worked together for my sort of riding side of things. But yeah, we talked about my values, and it's a really funny thing, values, because it's not as simple as sitting and writing them down. They don't just pop out of your head there and then. For me anyway, especially, it was a culmination of a lot of different events and things that were happening in my life over a period of years. And I now feel really able to make decisions based on where I know my lines are drawn. And I would really recommend anyone taking some time to do some soul searching and work out where your values are. So to take the example I think you're talking about, one of the things was meat eating. Now, I know this is going to be controversial to a lot of people. I understand that people want to eat meat. I have done for my whole life until just under a year ago now. I come from a farming background. I come from a hunting, shooting, fishing background. That's what my family have done in the past. And I remember as a child always feeling uneasy with it. And I used to go shooting with my dad, and I'd see pheasants dropping out of the sky, and it would make me cry, and I would just get really upset about it. And I'd get told, why are you being stupid, blah, blah, blah. And I just couldn't get away from that feeling. And it kind of got worse and worse over the years. And I would look at baby animals, I'd look at lambs in the field and go, oh, and then I would think to myself, but I eat you. And I had this internal battle for such a long time. Like, why am I doing this? I love animals. Like, this isn't right. So I finally worked out I should just stop eating meat. And it's been a game changer. And I feel so much happier now in myself, having drawn that line and understood that for me is my value. And I'm not I'm not prepared to go over that line anymore, like I was sort of struggling with over the years. So yeah, so it's things like that have been a bit of a game changer for me, actually.
And so what's it like then when you're not in line with your values and now you truly are, like even to that degree now, even going against what your family would have brought you up with and things, even having to do that now? What's it like now when you're aligned with them? Like, where's the difference? How do you know? Like if someone sat there now thinking, how do I know if I'm in line with them or not? For you, what would you say?
So for this particular example, I just, the minute I'd made the decision, it was just an instant sense of relief. I was just, why did I not do this years ago? It just felt right. I can't describe what it is exactly, but you just feel at peace. This is going to sound really airy fairy, but you just become at peace with yourself, and you're like, this is what I'm meant to be doing, and this is how I'm meant to be living. And you just find that your stress levels reduce. And it was the same decision, moving from my fairly well-paid job to going to running my own business. I had no money in the background to pay my bills in case this didn't work. But it felt right, instinctively, I just knew that it was the right decision for me. And again, my stress levels reduced. That's not to say that running your own business isn't stressful, because it's bloody stressful. Let's just not forget that. But in a different way, because I feel like I've found my purpose, and I'm moving towards the right goal, and I'm doing something that I know has purpose, and that's just fantastic.
So tell us a little bit about that journey then, when you were stressed, and like this is such a common story I hear all the time. I'm stressed and burnt out, and I know it's just not right for me. And we very often go into those sort of corporate roles because we think they're what you need to do, like proper jobs and all that kind of thing. And then when you do make that decision to leave, and there is that sense of relief, and then you have to get a business going. So tell us a little bit about that, because it is not, like you said, it's not without its stresses. It's just when you're in line with your values, you can deal with those stresses, because the bigger picture, the mission, the vision, the thing that's driving you on is so big that it's sort of, those stresses are insignificant. But when they are the only thing you can really see because you're not in line with anything else, they're significant, aren't they? So tell us a little bit about your journey from leaving that job to setting up the business and the challenges you overcame as a result.
So I think I was conditioned to think that I needed a well-paid job in London, following the corporate train or whatever it was. I just thought that that's what I was meant to do, and I did it. I trotted off on the train every day. I felt anxious all the time. I felt burnt out. I felt stressed because I knew I wanted to do better on my horse, and I didn't have time, and my relationship suffered. And then I met the most amazing man, who is now my husband. I hope he doesn't listen to this. He's going to get a really big head. But he's Kiwi, and they've got a very chilled out sense of life over there. I don't know if you've ever been to New Zealand, but they're just totally laid back and totally cool. And he was like, why are you doing this? You're miserable. Like, he couldn't understand why I was putting myself through it every day. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm really sad. Like, and he was like, quit. So, oh, okay. And it didn't happen as easily as that. So what I decided to do was I moved away from London. I moved to the South Coast, which is where my husband needed to be for his job. I moved my horse with me, and I decided to set up a marketing consultancy. So it was one step away from my career, but it was still related. And that gave me an income for a long period of time, and it also afforded me the time and the headspace to think about Honest Riders and how I was going to do it. So I did Honest Riders quite gradually, and I didn't step away. I'm sort of gradually, I'm still doing a little bit of marketing consultancy, but less and less and less. And I think having that security of knowing that career was kind of, I was able to pick it up and put it down again, was really comforting. But it was still a big leap. I liked having a nice flash car to drive around in. I liked being able to see nice pairs of boots and buy them without even thinking about it. And things are very different now. I sold my car. I have to drive around in a piece of crap that my husband likes driving. It's a truck. you know, and I can't afford nice holidays anymore, but it is all worth it to enable me to feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose and have a business that I'm passionate about. And I don't worry about Mondays anymore. I bounce out of bed. I'm like, yes, you know, what are we doing? I work all weekend because I want to. You know, it's totally changed my life, actually. And in terms from the stresses point of view, it is stressful because the only person that's propelling that business forward, that's earning that money, is you. And when you're in a full-time job, you know, you can have some days where you go in and you sort of cruise around a little bit and you can't really be bothered. But when it's your business, you know, you need to show up every day, and that's tough. It's mentally tough, because there are days when you feel like you're banging your head against a wall, and you're not getting anywhere and no one's hearing you. And, you know, it's really, you know, I've cried and I've been upset about it, but it's still all worth it for the end result. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And I think that's the thing though, isn't it? When you've got that bigger picture and like you say, you know it's worth it for the end result, and you've got that bigger game plan in your head, you're able to deal with the fact that you have to let some of the what we call the ego stuff go. You know, you have to let some. But here's the really cool part: is how long have you been running it now? A few years? 3-4 years?
Yeah, so it started in 2017, so 3 years now.
Yeah, so 3 years. And what were you just telling me about, thanks to COVID, that has actually started to happen now as a result of all the hard work you've put in over these 3 years?
I'm taking a salary from the business.
Yeah, exactly. So you spent that 3 years aligning with your values, creating a business that's really truly about what you want. And you've got to get the business running and going. But now there's been a real pivotal moment thanks to lockdown for you, hasn't it? That's changed the way you've done business, which we've talked about before, but sometimes someone needs a bit of a push to make it happen, don't they? So tell us a little bit about what actually has really pushed the business forward thanks to lockdown in your case. And, you know, there's always going to be people that benefit from difficult situations, not because they're profiteering, but because their business is providing something that people want and need. And I think that's exactly what's going on right now with a lot of things, isn't it? So tell us about what's changed as a result for you of everyone having to do online shopping.
So we've always been online. You know, I was a digital marketer beforehand, so I know online, I know social media, and I know, you know, how to build websites, etc. So online was always the goal. That's how I want to operate the business, and I also think it's a more sustainable way of working because I don't commute anymore. But last year, you know, we did some events. I'm not going to lie, they're expensive. Profit-eatingly expensive. And, you know, we spent a lot of money on marketing, just trying to break through really, and just trying to get the message across. And I think someone told me that it takes 3 years before you start to make any money from businesses in retail especially. And I thought, right, okay, well that's what I've got to do then. That's what I've got to sit out. But I think at the beginning of lockdown, lots of people were saying, oh, you know, should we even be trading? Is that ethical? And I had a message actually from a customer who I did a sale because I was going to do that anyway before lockdown, and it launched a couple of days after lockdown. And we sold out of everything, and it was just unprecedented support. And I had a message from a customer, and she said, you know, I've received my t-shirt. It's made me so much happier. I love it. You know, it's given me such joy. And I thought, I'm not going to stop selling online because I'm not doing anyone any harm. And actually, people take a lot of joy from the products that they buy from us, and that's how we want it to be. So then we launched our spring summer collection, which I was nervous about because I was a bit more out there with my designs this time. And it went down a storm, and it's been an absolute game changer for us as a business. Because it sold out. So the support was just incredible. And I feel like, you know, the years that have come before it have been building up to this moment. And I feel like we're on a platform now to really build on that success and keep innovating and keep, you know, moving things forward and helping people. So, yes.
That's the lovely thing about having a business where in some way you're helping people, and people might go, what is jumpers and t-shirts and vest tops like, you know, and the most amazing leggings ever, but yeah, like how are you helping people? But you are, because, you know, I love wearing your stuff. It feels good. I love it. It makes it, the slogans and things that are on them are gorgeous. You know, Two Hearts is my absolute favorite thing you ever produced. because it makes you feel good and you look good. And so you are okay. It might be a product, but the products that do really well are the ones that, well, you can feel the values in the product, can't you? You know it's good, it's well made, it's not being made in a sweatshop somewhere or what have you, or it's looking after the environment. So when you look good and you feel good and there's ethics behind it, like that's the triple threat, surely.
I hope so. And we give a portion of our profits to equestrian charities as well, and I think that message has really meant something to people, because their purchase is directly positively impacting a charity, and charities are really suffering at the moment because they're not having footfall through their sanctuaries, etc. So hopefully that's helped as well. And I just think the time has gone where people buy from what I call bottomless businesses, where you're chucking your money into something that has no purpose, and people are starting to realize that they want to buy good quality and they want to put their money to something that's doing good, and I hope that we're ticking that box.
Yeah, I think it shows, doesn't it, that you spent that time creating that brand and people know that that's what you're about. And so when adversity comes along, what do? They support the ones that they feel are worth supporting. And there you go. Look at all the businesses that are struggling compared to yours, where people have said, we love this stuff for more than just I like the clothes. That's it, isn't it? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, let's go on to a different topic for a moment or two. So you're a horse rider. So tell us a little bit about your riding journey and where you're at and what you do with that.
Okay, so starting at the beginning, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because it was a checkered past. No, I've been riding since I was 2. I'm obsessed with horses. My mum and dad hoped that I would grow out of it and find boys. I never did. I'm still as obsessed as I was when I was 10 years old. I was really into jumping when I was growing up, so I did lots of sort of 3-day eventing. I was on pony club and school show jumping teams and Prince Philip Cup. So I did all the stuff that involved going really fast. And then when I went off to university, I had an eventer. He was a 5-year-old event horse, and I was super excited about him because he was really talented. Went off to university and found that I couldn't keep him fit enough to be able to event. So I would come back every weekend, actually, because I chose the university that was nearest to mum and dad so that I could ride every weekend. And I just couldn't keep him fit enough. But actually I found that he was always in the lead after the dressage phase. And so I found this newfound love for dressage, and I never gave it up. I just carried on. And when I graduated, I carried on with Billy, my eventer. We got up to sort of medium level. And then I had, my mum had bred a horse from one of my old event ponies, Jester. And so I took him on and trained him up to, well, he was trained up to Grand Prix, actually, but he competed up to Inter 1. So I had him, and now I've got a young horse who I bought as a 2-year-old, and I've sort of produced up the levels, and he's rising 7 now, so I'm just working with him. So yeah.
And so obviously, like with everyone, I'm always fascinated by their riding stories. You've had to overcome adversity and overcome challenges and things like that. How do you think that has helped you with your business mindset and your way of being able to deal with things in a challenging environment?
One word: resilience. I think as horse riders, a lot of us have resilience because there are so many ups and downs involved in owning horses, and they get injured at the drop of a hat and they back us off, and they spook at a leaf or whatever. So I think we all have a level of inbuilt resilience, but I think riding has always been my priority, and I think I've therefore had to use my resilience to resist everything else in life and kind of reorganize and restructure my life to be able to ride, because that's what I love doing. And I think I've had some pretty difficult horses. Jester, my small tour horse was a cob, essentially. He was a warm cob, and he was a little so and so, and he was really difficult, and people told me that he'd never get past elementary level, and there he was doing his tempi changes across the diagonal. So and that was purely my complete sheer bloody mindedness, because I refused to give up on him, and also I didn't have any other options. Like, he was my horse, that was it, sort of thing. So I think resilience would probably be my word for riding, and then that also translates into business, because ultimately the businesses that succeed are the ones that just keep on going.
And what do you mean by keep on going? Because there are businesses that keep on going and still fail. Like, there's a certain way of keeping on going that you've done, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know. I just think the businesses that I've seen that succeed, just, if they get battered down, which you do in business inevitably, and in riding, you get back up, you dust yourself off, you get back on, you come up with new ideas, you keep innovating, you keep pushing, moving things forward. It's hustle, isn't it? It's just hustle in riding, life, business.
And I think that innovation was clearly shown in your spring summer collection. You said, "Oh, we got a bit more creative in our designs, and they sold out." So you clearly, whether you realise it or not, are someone who actually does innovate all the time. And even the thought of, like, who does a clothing company that talks about sustainability? Like, I don't know anyone. Oh, you do? Yes, that's different. Even the innovation in that respect, it might not seem it to you, but it is. It's different, and that takes guts to do that. So where did you get that guts and determination to be you and to be real, and where's that come from?
I just think I get bored quite easily, and I think I just don't like doing the same thing day in, day out, and I want to make a difference. That's it. I want to make a difference, and that's what drives me, that purpose. And now I've found that purpose in life. It drives me, and I just think I keep going. I love change. I'm a risk taker. I love changing things up all the time and trying new things. I'm not scared to try new things. I'm also not scared to admit when I'm wrong, and admit when I've made a mistake, and move on from it quickly. They say fail fast, don't they? Yeah, I guess that must be it. I mean, I've not really sat down and thought about it in any great detail, but yeah.
Yeah, so that need for just constant change and freedom and flexibility and innovation, and that's what drives you forward. So if we took that into your riding then, and you compete, and as we know, anyone who competes, especially in dressage, it's not a lovely linear path of success. There's been a few bumps along the way. So tell us a little bit about your kind of competition journey, because it's been the usual rocky one, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. Hence why we ended up working together. So I'll go. It's Jester, really. He was the one that sort of undid my confidence, essentially. So I my mum bred him. Obviously, he wasn't. He was by a dressage stallion, but he was out of a thoroughbred cross Welsh gob mare. Which is quite a strange mix. He had a very strong opinion about many things, and I was told that he wouldn't get past elementary. I should sell him and I should buy something else. But I loved him. Like, he was family, and I was like, no, I'm not going to sell him. I'm just going to hustle. I'm just going to work until it happens. So I set myself the goal. I said, my dream with dressage is to ride in tails. Isn't it everybody's? I mean, who doesn't want to do that? That was my goal, and I just step by step just worked and worked and worked until I got there. What ended up happening when I got there was that I felt like a complete imposter, because you compete elementary, medium, advanced medium, and there are lots of other amateur riders, but when you get to Prix St George, actually there aren't very many amateur riders. You're competing against mostly professionals, and it absolutely killed my confidence, because I felt like I shouldn't have been there. And I was on a horse that was never going to get the big scores, and I used to get into the warm-up and feel totally intimidated. I used to worry about what people were saying about me. Oh, look at her on that stupid chestnut thing, you know, she's never going to get anywhere. And I just used to make this monkey on my shoulder used to make all this stuff up. And so it got to the point where I was just upset all the time competing, because I never felt good enough. I felt like I didn't deserve to be there, and that what I was doing was stupid, and that I couldn't ride, and all of these things that I'm sure a lot of people come up against were right there in my head. And I didn't want to feel like that, because I knew that I'd worked hard for it and I deserved it, and I just wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to enjoy, you know, riding at that level, because it's great fun. And I just wanted to enjoy it. So I think that's when I started having some sports psychology, and it made a massive difference to me. And it means that now on my young horse, I don't care so much about what people think anymore. And I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it because I love it. So yeah.
And what's that done for you, by not caring what people think so much anymore and remembering you're doing it because you love it and you're doing it for you? What's that done for you in your riding?
I think it means you ride better inevitably, because you're not as tense when you compete, and you know, I find now that I can concentrate on what's going on in front of me, you know, underneath me, rather than, you know, side eyeing who's at the side of the warm up, and I don't want to warm up in front of them, and it's so and so, and you know, all this sort of rubbish that you end up coming up with. So I think I ride better, and I just don't care anymore. I don't care what anyone else thinks about me and my riding. I just want to ride, because that's what I enjoy doing. So yeah, so it's good. And I actually, obviously I haven't I did the regionals in January on Trev, but I'm less worried about competing, because before I used to feel like I used to have to tick off, you know, qualification for this, go to nationals, all of these different things. And now I'm like, my goal with him is I want to train him to Grand Prix, and if I do some competing along the way, then great. But actually, if he's, you know, if we're not going to do medium nationals or whatever, then so be it.
And so what's that done for you then? Because obviously you've got a business where you can balance your riding, and, you know, you can go ride in when you want to, and then work when you want to, and that freedom, oh my word, I have to say, there's nothing else like it. It's lovely.
No, there's not.
What has that now mindset around your riding helped you with in creating your lifestyle as well?
I think I would say that that's still a work in progress. You know, you need to have a level of thick skin in business, because you come up against it's people, relationships, you know, whether that's with your suppliers, and you have to manage them, and, you know, have conversations about timings, etc., and whatever goes on there, and obviously customers as well. I think I'm still very much a work in progress in terms of not being so affected when something doesn't go right, and you know, I've had customer emails in the past, you know, if someone hasn't received their parcel, for instance, and I was really affected by it. I was not sleeping at night because I care about it, and I didn't want someone to think that I hadn't sent them their parcel. So that's very much still a work in progress, and I think, you know, mindset always is, isn't it? It's evolution, and you're always finding new challenges and finding ways around things. So I would say for me, that's my nemesis, is just you know, having that thick skin and that ability to know what matters, and know how to handle difficult situations.
And I think that, you know, I love the fact that you say it bothers me because I care. Because that's the whole point, that actually you care deeply about this business, because it is more than just, it's not the bottom line, is it? It's more than that. It's about making a difference. It's a bigger thing, and you want to grow it because of that, not just to line your pockets and have that sports car back again. You know, that's not important anymore now. Yeah. Or have the latest boots or the jacket to go and compete in, when 100 times a year you're out going and doing that, you know. And so I think I love a business that cares, because that's the important bit. And we know that when we're buying something from a business like that, we are buying some of that care, if that makes sense. You know, like, we're buying into that. We are putting money in the pockets of people we like. So and I mean, you're entirely right on mindset. It's I'd love to be fixed. Every time I think I am, I then go, oh pants, there's another thing I've got to learn there. Then it's all learning. Certainly, what have been your reflections thanks to lockdown and a different way of life for you? What are the things that you've been able to think about and reflect upon and take away from it?
I think it's been a reinforcement actually of my values, and a reinforcement of the decisions that I've made over the past few years, that they've been the right thing to do. I haven't, I don't want this to sound insensitive, but I haven't felt worried during lockdown, because I feel secure in what I'm doing, and luckily I'm able to keep on doing it. And my husband normally works away. He's an athlete, so he's normally overseas a lot, and he's been at home, which has been lovely. I mean, obviously it comes with its financial pressures because he's not earning any money, but I'm really happy for him to be here with me. He's walking the dogs with me every day, which is lovely. I'm managing to pay for my horse and keep my horse, and that's the main thing. And I've got my beautiful rescue dogs asleep just down there. So I've been in a good place. I think reflection wise, I hope that for other people it will make them take in their surroundings and slow down a bit, and realize the value of the natural world and the environment, and how precious it is to us. I know that's how it makes me feel anyway, and I even more so in lockdown. I'm constantly reminded of the value that brings to our lives, and I hope that that's the same for other people too.
Yeah, I think it's certainly given us a mirror, isn't it, to think about what's important to us, take time to reflect, and made us stop and reflect on what is important, because we're either missing out on it or we're still getting it despite missing out on other things. So it's people are either it's a bit Marmite, isn't it? People are loving it or hating it right now. And I know people are all in very different situations, so that's understandable. But having a business that is yours, you can pivot, you can be resilient, you can be innovative. That's the ultimate flexibility and freedom, isn't it? To be able to go, oh, not great right now, I'll have to do more of this and less of that, and flex it. So obviously you haven't been able to go to shows and things, which is a shame, because we haven't been able to have a little bit of gin and tonic and prosecco in the evenings.
I know,
but other than that, actually it saved you quite a lot of money, so hey ho. It has actually saved me a lot of money as well, because I haven't been able to do the usual shopping. I've had to do it online instead. So if anyone wants to know anything about Honest Riders or about sustainability, what's the best way that people can kind of ask questions, get in touch?
So we're on Instagram and Facebook. We're at honest.riders on both of those platforms, and we're very active on there. So go and have a look, check out our wares, and if you've got any questions for me, then I'm always on the DM. So drop us a DM and have a chat, and yeah.
And you certainly do find with you do actually have fans, don't you? It's not just people that buy your product. Like you have a tribe. I have one particular friend, in fact, she said she loves your t-shirts. Thank you so much for doing Honest Riders. I have to check with her before we go anywhere that she's not going to wear the same flipping clothing as me. There's the amount of times we have turned up to something in the same t-shirt, and we both have quite a fair amount of the range, that we do actually have to make sure that neither of us is going to wear the same thing. I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? But yeah, you definitely have fans rather than people that buy your stuff, don't you?
Which is amazing. It just blows my mind, and I'm so grateful for that. And I've made friends through this business. These people that have bought from us are just amazing, and they share and they tag us, and I love chatting to them, and I love the DMs that they send us and the stories that they create, and that's what makes being in business so satisfying. And yeah, so I love that side of things, and I hope that continues, and we create more super fans all over the world.
Yeah, because actually when you think about it, it's not just about feeding ego, is it? It's about the fact that if there's lots of people that are really passionate about your business and sharing it and supporting it, then the bigger picture, they're helping to support charities, they're helping the sustainability, they're doing something good for the environment, and creating beautiful stuff that is wearable, usable again and again and again. That why wouldn't you want super fans that are going to promote that? Of course you would.
Yeah, and they do, and and people don't just talk about the product, they talk about they get it, they get the sourcing, and they get the effort that's gone into finding suppliers that will work with our ethics, and they get all of the sustainability messages that we're trying to put across. Our fans, I guess you would say, they get it, and I love that, and I love that they're helping us to spread that word.
Okay, so just to finish then, what's your favourite piece of clothing in your collection right now, and is it sold out or can we get a hold of it?
Oh, I knew you'd ask me something difficult like this.
Of all the questions I've asked you about mindset and really deep stuff that's difficult, when I ask you what your favourite piece is in the collection, that's like the difficult question. I love that.
It would be like choosing a favourite child.
Oh, really? Okay, I won't ask you to pick a favourite child. If you could say, is there a certain style that you're particularly a fan of at the moment or anything like that?
Yes, there is. Okay, let's go for that. So if you were talking about a vest top, I've got this one on now, actually, coincidentally, which is my favourite. It's called an Arabian, so it's a racer back vest top. The fit is super flattering. If you know you've got a few lumps or bumps everywhere, which you know all of us have, then I love these because they're not tight fitting, and they're perfect for warmer weather. And then I think sweatshirt wise, the one that I keep wearing is actually the first thing that I ever designed, which is my Centerline Warm Blood sweatshirt. And for those of you not familiar with the Warm Blood, they're organic cotton. They've got a fleecy lining. It's this beautiful marl grey colour, and it's got my white centerline design across the front, and I wear it again and again. Actually, I've got two because one wasn't enough. I wanted to wear it more often, so I've got one that I wear for around home, and then I've got one that I wear to ride in. So yeah, I guess that would be my favourite.
I think I completely agree with you. Okay, no, I won't tell your children. It's fine. I would agree on the sweatshirt thing. So I've got a few different ones, but absolutely, my favourite is the Warm Blood sweatshirt. You just sling it on, and you just feel like at home, but still stylish, like a Warm Blood. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what that means. A little bit crazy. Don't know. Very stylish.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're great. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, and let's your products that you do around kind of horse care and people care a little bit as well. If you were to pick a range that you particularly love in that, or I won't ask you to pick a product again, don't worry. What would be your favourite range at the moment that you're selling through the website?
Well, actually, that's a bit easier because they're not my own brand. So I buy in products from other sustainable brands to sell. So we don't actually buy entire ranges because what I like to do is test every single product for its efficacy before I start selling it. So poor Trevor, bless him, gets all these lotions and potions tried on him before I start selling them. Oh God, I'm looking now because it's all stacked up in our shelves here, trying to pick one. Lots of things for different needs, but do you know the thing that sells really well are the products from a company called Well Gel. They do shampoos. They've got a beautiful shampoo. They've got a main regrowth serum that sells out every time we get it in because it just works. It's brilliant. There's a aloe vera wound balm. It's brilliant. I use it on everything. So maybe I could pick that as a range, couldn't I? But I love them all. I don't want to have favourites.
No, that's cool. It's just always interesting hearing because you've demonstrated so many times the careful, methodical, like really, really, I can't think of the word, mindful way that you pick stuff. You don't just kind of go, oh yeah, that sounds quite nice. You really look into it and you take that pride and that passion into deciding whether that product is a go or no go when it's not your own. So tell us about what we can expect from you for the future then. What's Honest Rider's going to bring us that we can become even more passionate and tribey about? That's a word, tribey. It is now.
Yeah. Well, excitingly, we've got a big restock coming this week, which I'm really relieved about because we've been out of stock of a lot of our spring summer sizes because they sold out within days last time. So I've managed to get some more that arrives this week. So that's really cool. And what I actually did was I added in a couple of sweatshirt designs because I'd wanted to include them and I wasn't brave enough when I initially launched the collection, but I bought them back in and actually they've done really well on pre-order and there aren't many left. So that's great. And I have got something really big launching next week. And this is live, so I can't tell you about it because I haven't done any reveals anywhere, but it's something I've been working on for almost a year now. I'm buzzing with excitement for it. I can't wait to get it out there and I hope that everyone I hope that everyone that's followed us on our journey so far will love it too. But it's going to be a bit of a game changer for Honest Riders. So make sure you give us a follow and look out for it. We're going to launch it on the 28th, so next week. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
So we need to make sure we're following you on Instagram and on Facebook, eagerly awaiting the 28th, and then we'll know what this mystery is. Ooh.
Yes, I'm going to do a bit of a teaser, a bit of a reveal this Sunday, so you'll be able to start to see where I'm going with it from them. But yeah.
How exciting. Oh, love it, love it, love it. Cool. Okay, so there haven't been many sort of questions come in, but there have been lots of lovely comments. Toria says she just wants to be me. That's just a little bit weird. Thanks, Toria, for that one. She's the one who I turn up in the same flipping t-shirt as. She loves Honest Riders. Thank you so much. They're amazing t-shirts. They're so much more than that, Toria. Now you know. Oh my God, I love your products. They're amazing. My clothing's 2 years old now, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, my hubby is going to buy me some new Honest Riders clothing for my birthday. When's your birthday, Cassie? That's what we need to know. Looking at getting Lottie, that's her daughter. She's gorgeous. A heels down jumper too, because she's having to learn this at the moment. Oh, that's really cute.
That's awesome. Oh, send me a picture when you've got it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure she will. Cassie's one of my ambassadors, so I'll make sure that any of my guys that are wearing anything tag you in it and make sure that you get to see it. So thank you so much, Sarah. It's been fascinating as always, listening to another amazing entrepreneur lady, fearless businesswoman. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing and your gorgeous products. And we look forward to your exciting news next week.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's been great fun. Thanks, Jenny.